This is my Grammy, and I am going to be doing an interview with her. I hope you enjoy it. Where were you born?
I was born in a place called Oldham in Lancashire, England. It was a cotton mill county. During the war, it had a slogan, "Britain's bread hangs by Lancashire's thread." It was very industrial and even had cobblestone streets, just like in Charles Dickens' days. And people came to live here because there were always plenty of jobs.
Can you describe the history of your community? Who is its founder? What are some examples of natural resources that were used in your community based on where you lived? Why did people choose to establish themselves in that particular community?
Well, that was the reason. Like I said, they came because there were plenty of jobs, and in those days, jobs were pretty hard to come by, but in this area, there was plenty. But at 6 months of age, my parents and I moved to Blackpool, a lovely holiday resort on the North Sea. There I played every day on the beach and ate lots of seafood, codfish, shrimp, cockles and mussels, etc. And if I was smart enough and I saved up every Saturday penny, sometimes for 6 pennies I could have a donkey ride. And I used to love having donkey rides.
What was your life like growing up? Can you describe a typical day?
Well, a typical day, I lived with my aunt, my mother's sister, and she had a little girl my age. My father had died when I was 3.5, so we had to move in with them. And we played together a lot. We also fought together a lot, a bit different. And then we had our friends in the street who just play. And we stayed in school for lunch. And then after eating our evening meal at home, we played in the street. We always had 1 hour for play with our friends before we had to go to bed.
How is your life different today compared to when you were my age?
Well, the difference in my time was because we were anticipating World War II, which started when I was 5. And we had to make sure every night that all the windows were covered up. If you didn't have proper curtains, you had to put sheets up, dark sheets, and not one bit of light could be seen. If there was a chink of light seen, a warden would come and bang on your door and say, "Get that light out," you know. And there was no such thing as cars. They weren't allowed to have cars on the road because they could see the lights of the headlights. And you couldn't have the street lights on either because all the planes that came over from Germany would be able to see everything there. But so that was different. As far as food went, there wasn't a lot of food, not a lot of variety, and sometimes you had to line up for maybe 3 or 4 hours to try and get a loaf of bread. But if you were careful, you could manage. And what else was there? Well, sometimes when you got this air raid siren sounding, a funny, really funny noise, and as soon as that happened, everybody had to leave their house, go down the street and down into an air raid shelter, which was down under the ground, so that if the bombs came, then you were protected somewhat by the air raid shelter. When the all clear rang, then you could go home.
Where do my ancestors come from? Discuss heritage.
Well, the ancestors on my father's side all came from the north of England, but the ancestors on my mother's side came from Ireland.
What school did you go to?
Well, Claremont. My school name was Claremont. It was pretty close. I had to walk about 20 minutes to get to school. And I really enjoyed school.
What was your favorite subject in school?
Definitely English. I was pretty terrible at math.
What did you like to do in your spare time? What were your hobbies?
Well, I suppose you could call them hobbies because I had piano lessons and dance lessons, and I also went to Brownies. And I think I stayed in Brownies just before I was going to go up into Guides. We had to move house, so I missed out on Guides there. That's it. What else?
What was your role in the house? What kind of chores did you do?
I didn't have very many chores, but if I made a mess, I had to clean it up. Yeah, that's true. But one of the chores that we did have, we had pet rabbits, and we had to make sure that their cages were cleaned and that they had their food. And also we had 2 tortoises, and they lived in the back garden, and they ate the grass and stuff, and when it was winter they dug a hole and they went down under, and we didn't see them again till next spring.
That must have made you pretty mad when you went out because there were holes everywhere. Please describe the climate, vegetation, landforms, and bodies of water of your community.
Well, the weather, summers were fantastic because we were so close to the beach that's where we spent most of the time. The weather was ideal in summer. The heat never got too much for us because there's a constant breeze off the ocean. Winters were cold, but we had very little snow. And in the autumn we spent a lot of time berry picking, mainly blackberries and raspberries.
That makes me hungry. What advice could you give to the younger people today about preserving our heritage?
I would advise young people to protect their habitat by keeping it free of garbage and using it to the fullest by collecting all the eatables. There's so much in the forest. If you read books on it that tell you what is good for you, and you could pick a lot of food, especially berries. And also if you do have a picnic and you go out or you take an ice cream, don't throw the paper down. Don't just leave it anywhere. Protect it and keep everywhere clean. Don't litter.
What do you think is the most important thing for young people to learn today, based on your own personal experiences?
Well, I think you should preserve your heritage by taking an interest in it. Don't just wander through life and think, well, I'm here, and I'm here today, and I'm here tomorrow. Find out from other people, from older people, question your parents, your grandparents, and anyone you know about what it was like in their time. And you can find many interesting books telling about the old days from the public libraries. You'd be surprised. They're not all boring. Some are, but they're not all boring. And some you'd find a lot about your heritage in them, okay?
You have anything else to add about?
I just would say treasure the now. Think often about all the happy days and experiences as they come and go. And when you get older, you will just love reminiscing about those times as you sit in your rocking chair.
Okay, class, that will be about the end of our interview. I hope you enjoyed it.